Welcome back to Ask Amy, where Susie from Miami wrote in to ask, what is El Nino? If you live in a hurricane prone area like Susie, you probably know that every year hurricane season forecasts are issued. Sometimes the forecast is for an above normal season, and sometimes it's for a below normal season. Now, one major factor that influences hurricane activity in the Atlantic Ocean, whether it's an incredibly active or relatively quiet season, is a climate pattern called El Nino. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to explain what El Nino is, how it develops, and why it plays such a big role in shaping the Atlantic hurricane season. So let's start with the basics. El Nino is part of a natural climate cycle that occurs in the tropical Pacific Ocean near the equator. It's off the coast of South America. And during a normal year, trade winds blow from east to west, which pushes warm surface water toward Asia and Australia. This allows cooler water to rise along the coast of South America. But during an El Nino event, those trade winds weaken. And as a result, warm water spreads eastward across the central and eastern Pacific Ocean. This shift changes weather patterns around the world. It influences rainfall, temperatures, even storm activity thousands of miles away. I know it sounds strange, but think of El Nino as a giant ripple effect in Earth's climate system. A change in one ocean basin can affect weather on an entirely different continent. To understand El Nino's impact on hurricanes, let me quickly review what hurricanes need to develop. Hurricanes feed on warm ocean water, moist air, and favorable atmospheric conditions. One of the most important ingredients is low wind shear. Wind shear refers to changes in wind speed or direction with height in the atmosphere. So let's say the winds here are out of the east, but as you go up higher in the atmosphere, the winds are blowing from the northeast. That's wind shear, winds changing direction as you go up higher in the atmosphere. A lot of strong wind shear can disrupt a developing storm by shearing it apart before it has a chance to strengthen. As a hurricane grows, feeding on that warm ocean water, and the storm clouds rise, those building clouds run into that strong wind shear that tears apart the clouds and doesn't allow the hurricane to grow. So when wind shear is low or light, hurricanes have a better opportunity to organize and grow. Now, here's where things get interesting. El Nino develops in the Pacific Ocean, but it affects atmospheric circulation across the tropics and over into the Atlantic basin. During an El Nino event, stronger upper level winds often develop over the Atlantic Ocean and Caribbean Sea. These stronger winds increase wind shear across many areas where Atlantic hurricanes typically form and intensify. In simple terms, El Nino creates a less welcoming environment for hurricanes. And as a result, Atlantic hurricane seasons during El Nino years tend to have fewer named storms, fewer hurricanes, fewer major hurricanes. Many storms that do form struggle to organize because the increased wind shear tears apart their structure. Now, a common misconception is that El Nino prevents hurricanes altogether, and that is simply not true. Even during strong El Nino years, damaging hurricanes can and have still developed and make landfall. Also, remember, it only takes one storm hitting a populated area to cause major impacts. Some significant hurricanes, including Andrew in 1992 and Michael in 2018, occurred during El Nino conditions, despite the overall reduction in storm activity for the season. So communities should always prepare for hurricane season, regardless of whether El Nino is present. And by the way, it is worth mentioning El Nino's opposite phase, which is La Niña. During La Niña, trade winds strengthen and cooler than average waters develop in the Eastern Pacific. These conditions often reduce wind shear over the Atlantic, and the result is a more favorable environment for hurricanes and often a more active Atlantic hurricane season. If you would like to know more about La Niña, keep an eye out for another Ask Amy video called, What is La Niña? Understanding El Nino helps meteorologists make seasonal forecasts for hurricanes, and it also gives communities valuable information to prepare for whatever the storm may bring. Susie from Miami, thank you for this Ask Amy question about El Nino. If you enjoyed this video, the biggest compliment you can pay me is with a thumbs up and hitting subscribe right here on my channel. Feel free to share this video with others. And if, of course, you would like to ask Amy a weather question, just hop on over to amysweezey.com, find the contact tab at the top. After submitting a question, just come right back on here to YouTube to see if your question has been answered. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time.